It's another Saturday on the podium on 32 FM 94.9. My name is Chike Ubogu. On the podium this morning, we have two segments. I'll be looking at moral decadence and its socio-economic implications on the Nigerian society, majoring on drug abuse. And on the second part, shooting stars, the knocks, and the preparations for the 2021-2022 NPFL season. What is happening with shooting stars? What do you want to know about shooting stars? My guest will join me on the other part of this program, the podium. Once again, I am Chike Ubogu. The station is 32 FM 94.9, and it is the podium on this dial. The decay in the society has affected the values and moral character of Nigerian youths. Nigeria, like any other nation of the world, is not spared of the prevailing moral crisis in the contemporary period. Many of these crises are, however, traceable to the new values ushered in during the colonization of Africa, and many of which are in direct conflict with African values. Moral values are found in our religion, culture, traditions, yet our youth, for one reason or the other, are not that religious. We're still looking at these and many more. Before we went on that break, I was looking at a build-up to the core values, moral values that are decaying in the society. I said moral values are found in religion, culture, and traditions. Yet, our youths, for one reason or the other, are not that religious. They consider our indigenous culture outdated and our traditions barbaric. Therefore, they queue up to embrace westernization in its totality, abandoning our indigenous culture and tradition entirely. They thereby lose their identity. On this program, we shall examine the causes of moral decadence and its impact on Nigerian society, and possible suggestions for curbing the menace of sustained society as preferred. On this segment of the podium, I have with me the special advisor or special assistant to the governor of Oyo State on community relations, in the person of Honorable Olufemi Josiah. It's good to have you on the podium this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
All right. It's been a while. We bumped into each other many years ago, and then looking at this topic, looking at community relations, many issues, especially in the polity right now. Our youths, morality, value system, our core values are being eroded, and it's eroding fast. In a very fast manner. What do you think will be responsible for this?
Thank you for having me here. It's unfortunate we have come this low. But why are we here? How do we find ourselves in this situation that we are in right now? I would say it's the failure of the community system.
What makes up the community?
Good. In the community system, we have various agents of socializations. We have the family, we have the religious body, we have the peer groups, we have the economic system, we have the criminal justice system, we have the media. We have these various constituencies that are supposed to be working together towards a socialized and advanced community.
You didn't mention the family. Very key.
I mentioned the family first.
Okay.
The family is the primary unit of any community. So when all these agents of socializations are not working together towards that same purpose of building a viable, egalitarian, and productive community, what we have most of the time is the kind of the system we find ourselves in.
We should have a web where all of them are
Exactly.
intertwined.
They must be working together. It's a system. So each unit of that system must be contributing its own, quota to the development of the system.
In years past, we used to have our cultural values. We used to pay so much attention to culture, where you see your elders, you prostrate, you greet elders. You see your neighbor's thing falling off, you pick it up for the person. However, nowadays, the reverse is the case. You see elders, you struggle to get into a door with elders. Even corruption has become very prevalent, even amongst youths. And then you ask yourself a question: when will these stop? How do we go back to those good old days where we used to have sanity in the society?
We need to return back to our cultural value system, like you rightly said. What are the cultural value system? The value system of showing respect to elders, of living a purposeful life, of having a communal system where everybody look out for the next person, where we don't live a life of I and I only, where we are not living an egocentric life. How did this stop being that way? We inherited foreign culture in terms of religion, but we fail to accept the failure of that culture. What am I trying to say? If you bring religion into the mix, what are the religious bodies preaching? Are they preaching against our cultural values? I want to believe it is so.
It is supposed to be, right?
It is supposed to be in favor of our cultural value, because that is your culture is who you are.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, your religion should be part of your culture. But before the advent of the
Western religion,
Western
where we
and
have
the
Christianity
Middle East
and Islam. Yes.
We have our own values.
Our own traditional institution.
Exactly. So what happened to those values? They were eroded. Totally eroded. So there is no way we can accept religion and destroy our own culture.
So are you saying we should go back to the traditional institutions? Especially the religious part?
No, not necessarily. But you cannot be... I don't want to offend those who might not agree with me, but I will tell you that you cannot be more Catholic than the Pope. If you are, for example, a Yoruba man, you are first and foremost a Yoruba man before you are a Christian. We must understand that. You are first and foremost an Hausa or a Fulani man before you are a Muslim. So what are the core values that makes you the Yoruba man or the Hausa or Fulani man or the Igbo man? If you are losing those values and you just accept religion from the foreign incursions as they came, the way they are, then it means that those values that those people that brought the religion brought are the ones we are going to accept too. And that is what we see that is happening right here. It's
happening right now.
Exactly. That is why you will see a small boy of 17-year-old, we see an old woman in a bank of 70-year-old. Ordinarily, by our culture, even by the so-called British culture, they will stand up for elderly people. If you enter a bus with an elderly person, you are expected to allow the elderly person to sit down first. But do we even do that here? And that is our own culture.
That's the breed of youths we have nowadays. Shouldn't we be worried right now?
We should be worried, but like I said, it's the failure of the agent of socialization. A lot of parents don't even have time for their children to even be able to train them and teach them the ethos that make a young man well brought up. A lot of communities have abandoned their responsibilities because we no longer have what we call community parenting, whereby in those days when we were growing up, before you can come to my house, my mother will know who your mother was. The family were together. You won't just bring a friend that we don't know its background, who were its parents. You won't just
there was some form of communism.
Yeah, there was a kind of a community relationship, parenting. You understand what I'm saying? And do we still have that? We don't have that any longer.
We'll get back to that after this break. How did we get it wrong? How did community parenting die? Stay tuned. It's still the Podium on 32 FM 94.9. My guest is the Special Assistant to the Governor on Community Relations. That's Olufemi Josiah. Don't go away. We will be back.
Global Investment Limited. Etukua mojuba ayẹyẹ gbangba kọkọ 7th anniversary crowning the face of gold medal and 3rd edition of the unveiling of the new brand ambassador for the year 2022. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin ilé-iṣẹ́ ńláńlá tẹ́ ẹ mọ iye àwọn ojú tó pawọ́ ìràwọ̀ òṣèré amúlùdùn tó lé lọ́gọ́ta 60 láti jẹ brand ambassador fún ilé-iṣẹ́ yín lówó péréte pẹ̀lú àdéhùn ọdún kan gbáko. Lára wọn ni Délé Odùlé, Fẹ́mi Adébáyọ̀, Múyìwá Adémọ́lá, Yẹmí Ṣọ́ládé, Kọ́láwọlé Ajéyẹmí, Kamilu Kompo, Dr. Jokemu Iwa, Táyé Currency, Tóyọ̀sí Adésànyà, Wásílà Kódẹ̀, Ọmọwùmí Ajíbóyè, Dàmọ́lá Ọlátúnjí, Aisha Lawal, Mama No Network, Yewande Adékọ̀yà, Mutiu Adépọ̀jù, Ẹniọlá Afeez, Gbẹ̀ngà Adéyínká, Big Bọ́lájí, Ṣèyí Lọ, àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Coming up on Thursday 16 December 2021 at Mo 21 Event Center, opposite First Bank, Ring Road, Ibadan, 10 a.m. prompt. Call 0803 413 6370. Gold Medal Grand Occasion. You must be there. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin oníbàárà Living Proof Supermarket ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́ ẹ kú àfọmọnìyàn ṣe àjọṣepọ̀ wa ò ní bàjẹ́ o láti wá fẹ̀mí ìmoore hàn la ṣe ṣàgbékalẹ̀ ìfà òpin ọdún Living Proof Appreciation Promo fún yín láti jẹ̀bùn lórí èyíkéyìí ọjà tẹ́ ẹ bá rà ní Living Proof Bakery and Supermarket tówó rẹ̀ bá ti tó $20,000 20,000 naira upward tẹ́sí máa jàǹfààní ẹ̀dínwó lórí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ọjà wa ohun jíjẹ ohun mímu beverages toiletries drinks àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ tó fi máa wọn búrẹ́dì wa sardine bread loaf bread coconut bread àti èyíkéyìí búrẹ́dì tẹ́ bá rà pẹ̀lú àwọn nǹkan panu ní eatery section wa ní LP Plaza Ayégún Ọ̀lẹ́yọ̀ road tó fi mọ́ Old Martin Pharmacy ní Lee City University àti ilé ìtajà Living Proof lọ́pọ̀pọ̀nà ológun ẹrú ládojúkọ Mania filling station ẹlẹ́ẹ̀lẹ́ tó fi mọ́ Old Pinnacle building Fẹ́lẹ́lẹ̀ Ìbàdàn ìfà òpin ọdún yìí ti ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ o yóò sì wá sópin ní December 31 2021 láti jàǹfààní ẹ máa pe 080 3545 7120 Living Proof end of the year appreciation promo àjọ jẹni. ẹ má forí àgbègbè wẹ́tà tí òru ọba ẹyẹ ní í ṣe Titan Farms gan la ṣíwájú nínú àwọn iléeṣẹ́ tó ń róni lágbára tọ́ni sọ́nà ọ̀la wọ́n tún ti wá gbé tuntun dé fún gbogbo ẹni tó fẹ́ mókè ọ̀làgùn lọ́nà ọ̀rọ̀rùn èyí tí wọ́n pè ní ralẹ̀ kó o fi háyà buy to lease tó fi jẹ́ pé tó bá ti ra èyíkéyìí ilẹ̀ oko wọn ni wọ́n tún lease rẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ rẹ̀ tó sì máa rówó lórí ẹ̀ lóòrèkóòrè lẹ́yìn tó bá ti gba gbogbo òwe tó fi ralẹ̀ tó fi mọ́ rìsíìtì àti lease agreement form bó o bá ṣe ralẹ̀ oko sí ló ṣe jèrè lórí ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ Titan Farms bá a ṣe wá nílẹ̀ oko la tún nílẹ̀ ilé lóríṣiríṣi pàápàá jùlọ ní open opulence city mọ́níyà cherry court ìlàjì tó fi mọ́rẹ́gà gardens soka èyíkéyìí estate tẹ́ bá ti ra lẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ titan farms estate lẹ́mọ̀gbà 500 blocks lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ tó fi mọ́ ogún àpò sìmẹ́ǹtì pẹ̀lú gbogbo òwe orí ẹ̀ lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ ẹ má wulẹ̀ fọ̀rọ̀ játa àmọ́ ẹ kàn sí titan farms house báyìí ládojúkọ motor dealers mart off akala expressway new garage ìbàdàn tàbí kẹ́ ẹ máa pe 090 600 79714 website titanfarms.org ẹ sì lè kàn sí wa lórí ìtàkùn ìbánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ at titan farms ng titan farms àdùnbárìn mátòṣì.
gbogbo kọ́lékọ́lé àtàgbàlékọ́ ẹ̀ wá gbọ́n tí mo fẹ́ wí àlàyé tó wà nínú rẹ̀ ní kẹ́ ẹ bá ń fetí sí. torí pàlàyé inú rẹ̀ níṣẹ́ lọ́dà bíi abc. pàtàkì lílo òrùlé jẹ̀rá roofing system ló tí mo fẹ́ wí. òrùlé jẹ̀rá àdì tó jójúlówó kì í ti ṣá tàbí pàwọ̀dà. bẹ́ẹ̀ o lè gbọ́ ṣàrẹ̀ṣàrẹ̀ òjò lábẹ́ òrùlé jẹ̀rá àdì. bóòrùn ràn minimini lábẹ́ ilé tẹ́ bá fi òrùlé jẹ̀rá àdì bu ọmọ tutù. ó tún bu ẹwà òun iyì kọ́lé tí ó sì gbé yọ sóun bẹ̀. láti wá ra ojúlówó òrùlé jẹ̀rá àdì lẹ́dínwó pátápátá. Laola Mega Top Concept Limited lasojú àtàlágbàtà kan gbòógì lórílẹ̀‐èdè nàìjíríà fún iléeṣẹ́ tó ń ṣe gerard roofing system tó jẹ́ stone coated látòrílẹ̀‐èdè new zealand tó wá pẹ̀lú warranty 50 ọdún gbáko lọ́ọ̀sẹ̀ nílò láti dààmú lọ sílùú èkó mọ́. àwọn kọ́lékọ́lé àtàgbálẹ́kọ́ tí wọ́n mọ yìí ń dáradára ni wọ́n mú di truck wọlé sí Laola Mega Top Concept Limited adex road orogun express òpópónà márosẹ̀ ọjọ́ nílùú ìbàdàn ni wọ́n kalẹ̀ sí 08185481113.
Vigo Cap Abacapsule. ọjọ́ ti pẹ́ tí mo ti ń fẹ̀yìn dídùn ṣeré àfìgbà tó gba òkú múlẹ́rọ ara lọ́wọ́ mi. ìyẹn ni mo bá títí kórí tó gbé mi pàdé Vigo Cap Abacapsule ni mo bá gbé ìlú ra lọ́gán. ìṣọwọ́ ta pọ́npọ́n mi kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀.
bóyá no dolly no time for súnmẹ́súnmẹ́ no dolly no time for dídírídí. Vigo Cap Abacapsule ló tún ṣe gbọ́.
Vigo Cap Abacapsule sanko pé egbòogi ilẹ̀ wa tá a ṣe lára ọ̀tọ̀. àbá àwọn tó dáàmọ̀ ti já sí àwọn tó já sí ti dáàmọ̀. béèrè fún tiẹ̀ lónìí nílé ìtajà ètò oògùn chemist àti pharmacy tó bá súnmọ́ yín. Vigo Cap Abacapsule egbòogi àtẹwé ilẹ̀ wa tá a ṣe látọwọ́ Ayọ̀ Aba S Limited. fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé ẹ pè nọ́mbà yìí 08038606858 ẹgbọ́n lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí 08038606858 Vigo Cap Herbal Capsule ọkùnrin làdá.
When the people became silent,
the government became oppressive. It's time to lend your voice to politics.
On 32 FM 94.9.
Safa sapeli sizo simnyama Iwasafa Isizo saba Kamula mole Haini kwa kalize Wemaye wemodo Safa sapeli sizo simnyama Iwasafa Isizo saba Kamula mole Haini kwa kalize
Welcome back from the break. It's still the Podium on 32 FM 94.9, the station where joy resides. I am Chike Ubogu, and my guest is the special assistant to the executive governor of Oyo State on community relations, Olufemi Josiah. Before we went on that break, we were looking at moral decadence, and then we're looking at the kind of youths we have today, how we breed youths to the society. Let me give you this. Moral decadence as a phenomenon has been overlooked in our society nowadays, and it has led to a poor breed of youths. The youths are supposed to be leaders of tomorrow, and they've got themselves involved in vices capable of destroying their future. The character traits endangered by our society system is by our way of living, our pathogenic, which can affect an individual's personality as well as the society at large. In Nigeria today, there is widespread concerns about the moral crisis faced by the country. Moral decadence permeates all aspects of public life, and rampant corruption is noticeable. For example, some of those who work in offices see it as a norm to receive bribes before doing the official work. Due to lack of moral education, the average Nigerian youth have come to see antisocial behaviors as the only hope of enriching themselves. Thus, stealing, prostitution, political thuggery, militancy, kidnapping, and so on and so forth have in recent time become major sources of income in Nigeria. Kayode and Adeyinka's publication in 2009 pointed out that the majority of youths who are currently engaged in militancy, thuggery, gangsterism, cultism, and other forms of antisocial behavior are usually people who are aggrieved with the social system of access to quality education, and is thus one of the ways of curing the social ills of the society and better regime of human development. Moral decadence. Before we went on the break, we were looking at morality and how we can solve the issue of moral sensitization in a community. Who starts it first in the community? Our community leaders are no longer interested in these things. Many of them have been politicized. They all go to the government looking for what to get into their pockets. In the past, we used to have ballets. If there are issues, you go to a ballet. That's the family head. And he settles issues. He resolves issues. But today, these ballets no longer live up to expectation. Not all of them, but most of them. How do we get them back on track? If we're meant to fix, if we're looking at social engineering, to fixing these moral decadence, how do we get these people on track to help the youths? Because in the nearest future, a story will transportify and snowball into something that we cannot, curtail anymore.
Well, let me quickly say something about that. You talk about social re-engineering.
Yes.
As the population increases, our challenges also increases. Now, societies are governed with law. You just made mention of ballets now.
Yes.
What were the duties and responsibility attached to those offices by the law? Our legal system, do we have certain responsibilities that are expected from such offices? As far as I'm concerned,
no.
Not necessarily, because the chieftain administration is usually under local government administration. That the local government administration has established in Nigerian law what powers are given to this local government administration. It's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go there.
Yeah.
So when you expect so much from such people, what duties and responsibilities and powers have we even given to them to be able to perform such duties? Though there may be a need for us to go back and look at our laws. In those days, we used to have House of Chiefs in the First Republic. Do we still have that any longer? No. So there might be a need for us to look at our constitutional framework and see that is the failure of that framework part of the cause
of these
present situation we find ourselves in.
So you're saying now that the law or our legal issues here, our legal documents, are not helping issues too. That we need to
the
look
best
at
of my knowledge,
and then we need to review.
To the best of my knowledge, apart from the fact that we need to review the laws, even the existing ones, how much implementation
and
enforcement do we have? I'll give you an example. We have a public health law in Oyo State. The last time that law was reviewed, it was 1976 or thereabout. My office is just looking at it. There is the need for the government to look at that law again.
Revisit it
again. Wow. Because there is a lot of public nuisances that are happening today that are not captured in that law.
Your office is community relations.
Yes.
And when we look at community relations, it is wide, very broad. Part of community relations is an interface with the youth.
Definitely. They are a very important part of the community system.
Do you do this once in a while, or do you do it often? Do you interface with the youth in communities?
Well, I do. My office do that a lot.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, there is an initiative that my office is
proposing.
It's beyond proposition. We are working on it.
Okay.
And we have reached a stage where we might need to set up instruments of governance to implement some of the policies we are conceptualizing there. We have this Youth Empowerment Rewind initiative because we realize that the strength of any society, apart from the women and essentially the young people,
the young ones,
and any society that fails to recognize that the youth and the women must be given special place in policy making is not likely to get it right. We have issue of gender parity. We understand that if you don't train the girl child very well, the girl child will eventually become a mother, that we have to raise children. So a girl child that's not properly trained is not likely to raise the right kind of children that the society needs to develop.
Thereby we have child mothers.
Yes. Now, we look at young people, essentially both male and female. They are the strength of any population because of their agility. So how productive are these young people? How cultured are these young people? We find out that quite a number have derailed from what a serious government expects them to be like. Particularly after the last EndSARS, we saw a new set of young people emerge. They were with us, but in truth, some of us never knew they had that kind of population.
And that kind of spirit too.
Yeah, that kind of spirit of destruction.
You say destruction?
Yes, because, I mean, what kind of spirit will possess a man that you have an issue, the next thing is to...
No, these were youths that came out to protest. It was peaceful until some people hijacked it.
No, not some people. Youth too hijacked it. We have two set of youth. We have those that are still under the control of parents or guidance. We have some that they don't have anybody managing their life. They are on the street. Some of them live in homes, but they are no longer under the control of parents or guidance.
They are lost.
Yes, as a matter of fact, they are lost unto themselves. And this set of youth...
But they were not the ones that went to the Lekki toll gate, right?
Well, the Lekki toll gate thing is a different ballgame entirely.
Okay, that was just a digression.
Yes. Yeah. What we are saying is that we have youth that have taken drug and substance abuse as a lifestyle. Some of them live with their parents. Majority of them live on the street. And these are part of the state that if we don't pay attention to them, it's like going to bed while danger is waiting outside your doorstep.
Talking about drug abuse and substance abuse, Nigeria's Drug Law Agency in its recent data disclosed that about 14.3 million Nigerian youths between 18 and 35 years are deeply involved in the abuse of drugs. A motion on the urgent need to sensitize Nigerians on the dangers of the widespread epidemic and influx of crystal meth, originally known as methamphetamine, that's what he called the crystal meth. Its effect on the youths corroborates the agency's fears. During the week, the House of Representatives has therefore raised concerns over the devastating effects of the use of drugs capable of destroying human mentality. It was part of discussions among lawmakers during plenary in the House. Honorable Henry Nwanuba from Imo State says most homes in the southeast are currently facing what you call something of serious worrying. Dangerous effects of the drugs. Let's listen to Honorable Nwanuba during the week, during plenary.
An estimated 75% of the users in our society are adversely affected, and they have become a burden to their families and communities. Since 1990, the production of crystal meth has been hijacked by Mexican drug dealers who set up laboratories in Nigeria.
That is an assertion, right? He said since 1990, Mexican drug dealers have established laboratories in Nigeria, and then these people are having these issues. We'll still come and discuss. We're coming to discuss the issue of drug abuse and substance abuse amongst youths in Nigeria. Meanwhile, Honorable Linda Ikpazu, who also represented Anambra State, raised her own concerns alongside Honorable Namdas from Anambra State. They're so concerned about the use of these substances. Let's listen to them.
You will find 11, 12-year-olds taking this meth. So really, what kind of future are we expecting these young ones to have?
NDLA alone cannot be able to solve this problem. We need other sister agencies that can talk together, even including security forces.
These are concerns by our lawmakers. Are you not worried by the use of substance, as in drug abuse amongst youth? It's getting so bad that if care is not taken, in the next 5 years to 6 years, you will see many mentally deranged people on the streets, and majority of them will be the youths. They abuse these drugs, especially when you hear things like codeine, you hear things like crack, you hear things like meth, crystal meth, which is now the in thing now for the youths. Many names, many unfounded names, like you hear Colorado and all that. And then you ask yourself a question. Does it still boil down to morality? How did we get to this point?
Just give me time. Let me explain.
Yes, let me hear it from you.
As far as over a year ago, the government of Oyo State, of Engineer Seyi Makinde, recognized what you are talking about. Because when we came to power, we realized some of the challenges we inherited, and substance abuse
was part of it.
I mentioned the jet of socialization the other time. We have family, the community system, the media, peer pressure, and all those things we mentioned. Now, the issue of drug is not something new. But recently, we find out that a lot of young people have taken substance or drug abuse as a lifestyle. Some started by smoking cigarettes. Some started by abusing codeine, tramadol. Then they move into Colorado and eventually heroin and cocaine. Like the meth crystal that they just mentioned now. The Honorable that said Mexican drug laws are in Nigeria, I'm sure he must have a reliable source of that information.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask.
So, and we will expect those in charge of drug
to burst that cartel.
Yes. So, the criminal justice system is part of the agents of socialization we're talking about. How effective is that system? You might need to bring those in charge here to explain what role are they performing to the extent of reducing the menace of these incidents and prevalence of drug abuse. In Oyo State, for instance, we recognize that, one, we need to break the cycle that produce young people that abuse drug. How do people get into that net? Number one, poor parenting, poor community system. An example is truancy in secondary and primary school. When the child is under the care of a mother or father, the likelihood of such a child abusing drug is minimal, unless the parents are drug abusers themselves. When the child is not at home, it is expected that that child is in school.
Yes.
So when the child is not at home, and the child is not in school, that means the child must have left home and did not get to school.
Yes.
So where is that child at that particular point in time? That is when young people get into that lifestyle of abusing drug. That's when they get into that lifestyle of getting into crime and all delinquent behavior. Now, in Oyo State, we are looking at the truancy issue in schools. You will hardly see young people that are meant to be in school roaming the street any longer, because there is a mandate out that they should be arrested. So if you, a media person, you see a young child that should be in school on the street during school hour, we expect you to challenge such a child. Everybody should take responsibility. Once school children know that they cannot be on the street during school hour without being challenged, you can be rest assured that that will reduce the number of students that stay away from school.
What of youths who are not in school?
I'm coming.
Yeah.
Before youth don't just get into drug abuse as a lifestyle overnight. It starts as a process from childhood. You need to be available and susceptible to a situation before you get yourself into it. If a child that is under a parental care, that is under the care of a teacher or a guardian, it is not likely that such a child will take drug abuse as a lifestyle. If an adult does not send a child to go and buy cigarettes, there is no likelihood that the child will want to test what that cigarette looks like. Young people are naturally curious. Out of curiosity, they want to try something. Growing up, we all know what we tried. Lighting paper with matches. It's because of what we see. But at the end of the day, did many of us take to smoking cigarettes? No, we didn't. Because we were lucky to have parents and guidance who monitored the things we were doing. And the few of us that got into those things, we eventually left them because our parents and guidance pay attention to what we were doing. So when parents are not paying attention, when communities leaders are not paying attention to the things happening to young people in their community, then there is tendency for these young people to start abusing drugs as a lifestyle.
Intentional parenting, legislation, good public health are the things we need to look at before we can solve the issue of substance abuse and drug abuse in Nigeria. Some of us fear for the influx of mad people on the streets if it is not curbed. We also look at gender issues. I'm not being gender biased right now. However, when you look at best graduating students in schools, nowadays, you see ladies doing well in schools. And in the future, people don't look at this from this angle. In the future, you see many ladies who are doing so well, getting through a career path, and most of these guys who abuse drugs will be there on the streets, wallowing.
We also
have ladies who abuse drugs.
So
okay, now let us listen to this lady. Let us listen to some people who have abused drugs in the past. Let us hear them. Let us hear their story. How did they get into it? It's still 32 FM 94.9, and the program is the Podium. I still have Honorable Olufemi Josiah here, the Special Assistant to the Governor on Community Relations. We are looking at drug abuse and moral decadence in the society. Let's take a listen to this before we go on a break. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
I'm addicted to cocaine and just heroin. Those are the two things I take, and cigarette, that's all. I grew up in a polygamous home. Father had 2 wives and 10 children. I'm from Delta State, I'm an Orobo. I went into the university, Ambusale University, Ekpoman. And that was where my problem started with drug. I'm a mother of 3 children. In the life of drug in the streets, I had those kids. Living it became a problem. And that was, I have been in this journey now for 18 to 20 years.
I started with something called the Glow. Then later I graduated to skunk. Then later I graduated to crack. The very day I saw it, I tried it, and so since then I've been smoking it and have no control.
The sense has increased because there are a lot of young people that are getting into the act on a daily basis.
The minute you get addicted to it, you don't get that feeling anymore. When you don't smoke, you jones. So the challenge you now face is meeting your jonesing problem, no longer getting high anymore. Like I promised myself that when I come out of it, I'm going to be an advocate for the younger people, hold seminars with the students, and show them that this is the cocaine, this is the heroin, and this is what it does on a junkie. So if these people are seeing the side effect more, this young generation will not enter. The condition of my life today is a pathetic story. I am not where I'm supposed to be. I'm not messing with the right people or doing the right thing at the right time anymore. Because once you are into drug and the people in the society know, they become segregated, you understand? They exclude you from every other thing because you're no longer trusted. Like me now, I'm dying already now because I got pleasure smoking. So my advice is that, need an officer groove day. There's no fun, there's no groove. Because the end result of it bad past the enjoyment. The bitterness, the suffer, the pains is more than the pleasure. So why would you want to sacrifice your happiness, your healthy life for just a fun of 15 minutes?
When the people became silent,
the government became oppressive. It's time to lend your voice to politics.
On 32 FM 94.9.
The children of the world standing tall and trying to grow. You can have it when it's warm and then sing this song. I love my Indomie, Indomie, Indomie. Yes, I love my Indomie.
Indomie noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
Yes, children love Indomie.
Gbogbo ẹ̀yin òbí àtàlágbàtọ́ tí ẹ kó àwọn ọmọ yín jẹ yín lógún mo tún kí yín pé ẹ kú oríire o. Gẹ́gẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe mọ̀ ilé-ìwé INT'L Academy ó jẹ́ ojú òpó tí ọ̀gọ̀rọ̀ àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ti ń ṣoríire. Àwa kọ́ o Ọlọ́run ni. Àsìkò tó ti wá tó wà yìí fún gbogbo akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó fẹ́ ṣe JAMB UTME coaching ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. Ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ti ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ láì fàsìkò ṣòfò. Ẹ tètè máa bọ̀ wá forúkọ àwọn ọmọ yín sílẹ̀. Owó wa ò gara. Ààyè san díẹ̀díẹ̀ tún wà. Hostel fún gbogbo akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó bá wá lọ́tọ̀ọ̀nà jíjìn. Gbogbo akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó fẹ́ lọ kàwé lókè òkun study abroad with ease láwọn orílẹ̀-èdè bíi Canada, US, UK, Ukraine àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Ilé-ìwé INT'L Academy làṣírí ọ̀rọ̀ láti forúkọ àwọn ọmọ yín sílẹ̀ fún JAMB UTME. Visit our registration office, House 1, Ajao bus stop, Ọjọ́ Ìwó Road Expressway, Ìbàdàn, or Bernard Street, Bashoru Market, Ìbàdàn, and Gbagi Junction, Olorudaba Road, Bara Second Gate, Àkóbọ̀, Ìbàdàn. For more details, 080-644-91184. The INT'L Academy, your success is our concern.
bá a ṣe láwọn akọ́ṣẹ́mọṣẹ́ dókítà tíṣẹ́yé bẹ́ẹ̀ náà la láwọn àwòrán àṣà mẹkáníìkì tí ò ní dákún sòrò ọkọ̀ sọ́kọ̀ dálùpùpù. GMF Auto Services Limited bóyá ẹ̀ tí ì débẹ̀ wò ní ọ̀jẹ̀ mọ̀ pọ́nmọ́nàmọ́ pa àwọn erin lákàtàbù irinṣẹ́ ni ó diagnose mọ́tò yín kẹ́sẹ́ bí wọ́n ti máa fẹnu fapò sórí carburetor wait and get ní kò ní lọ kábọ̀ tí machine bá ti ń discover problem láàmú fix ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ kan torí gbogbo original spare part ń bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ̀ bíbá àwọn aláràlù àtàwọn aláràtúntà gan tó wá ń kó lọ́pọ̀ yanturu ṣẹ́rí pé gbogbo ń tẹ́ fẹ́ lójú kan ló wà.
Yes, so no go allow person wey no sabi damage your motor.
Our services, the consultancy, diagnosis, key programming, transmission repair, maintenance, spare part sales, plus plenty ogbonge things. GMF Auto Services Limited. Day for number 3, Oni Lane, beside White House Hotel, behind Boys High School, Labawo, Ogunpa, Ibadan. Ẹ kọ́ pé wọ́n lórí aago náà kẹ́ ẹ mọ bó ṣe wà sí 08066348917. Tó o bá fẹ́ kẹ́mi ọkọ̀ rí ogun, GMF ni ó yàn láàyò.
Mo jẹ́ abiyamọ tó níṣẹ́ lọ́wọ́, mo sì jẹ́ ìyàwó ilé àti alámòjútó lágbègbè mi. Nípa ìdí èyí, ọwọ́ mi dí púpọ̀. Ìwọ̀nba ni àkókò tí mo ní láti lè máa ṣe àbẹ̀wò lóòrèkóòrè sí ilé ìwòsàn fún gbígba oògùn adènà ìlóyún. Oògùn adènà ìlóyún alábẹ́rẹ́ àdálò lẹ́ẹ̀kan ṣoṣo fún mi ní oore ọ̀fẹ́ àti ààbò àìlóyún fóṣù 3. Mo lè dá ara mi gún ní abẹ́rẹ́ yìí pẹ̀lú ìbàlẹ̀ ọkàn. Dandan sì kọ́ ní kẹ́nikẹ́ni ó mọ̀ sí. Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́, mi ò dára mi lójú pé mo lè ní ìgboyà náà láti gún ara mi lábẹ́rẹ́. Ṣùgbọ́n pẹ̀lú ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àti ìrànwọ́, mo róye pé ìlànà tí ó rọrùn ni, tí kò sì pani lára ni. Oògùn adènà ìlóyún gígún ara ẹni lábẹ́rẹ́ ti fún mi ní agbára láti pinnu ìgbà tí mo tún lè lóyún bí mo bá fẹ́. Ó sì fún mi ní òmìnira nínú àsìkò tó péye láti dá irú obìnrin tí mo jẹ́ àti ohun tí mo bá fẹ́ láti dà.
Fún àlàyé sí i lórí àdálù abẹ́rẹ́ adènà oyún àti àwọn ìlànà ìfètòsọ́mọ bíbí mìíràn, ẹ pè 321 lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ lórí ojúpo ìpè Airtel yín nìkan tàbí kí ẹ kàn sí ìtàkùn àgbáyé wa discoveryourpower.org. Ìkéde yìí ń wá pẹ̀lú àtìlẹ́yìn àjọ elétò ìlera ìjọba àpapọ̀.
Kérésìmesì ọdún lẹ́.
Ẹ̀yin ọmọdé, àsìkò náà tún ti dé wàyí o níbi tẹ́ ó ti máa jẹ̀bùn. Ẹ jẹ́ tiẹ̀ ṣíwé ìrántí kàn yín ná kí ẹ gbọ́ díẹ̀ nínú àtẹ̀yìnwá.
Ọmọ yìí ti jalè.
TV alálẹ̀ mọ́gìrì 32 inches lẹ́tí láǹfààní àti jẹ fọ́mọ yín báyìí o. Èyí tó wà nù káàdì yẹn náà ni Android phone. Ọmọ yín ti jẹ́ kẹ̀kẹ́.
Ètò lẹ́tà sí Santa olójoojúmọ́ láàrin ọ̀sẹ̀ ló tún ti gbìnàyà níbi tá ó ti máa yí koto oríire láago 5 kọjá ìṣẹ́jú 15 sáago 6 ìrọ̀lẹ́ àti aago 5 sí 6 ìrọ̀lẹ́ ní gbogbo òpin ọ̀sẹ̀ pẹ̀lú $2,000 péré. O lè mú fọ́ọ̀mù lẹ́tà sí Santa rẹ kí Santa rẹ ó sì gbà ọ́ lálejò ní gbọ̀ngàn ìtajà ìgbàlódé ti Jericho Mall tàbí bí ẹ bá ń fẹ́ kí a gbé Santa tí wọ́n bá bá yín lálejò nínú ẹ̀kọ́ tiyín bẹ̀rẹ̀ látọjọ́ 23 oṣù kọkànlá sí ọjọ́ 24 oṣù kejìlá ọdún tá a wà yìí. Ẹ pè Aunty Yellow sí 0803-651-5050 tàbí Aramide sórí 0704-4263-290. Season 2 lẹ́tà sí Santa tọdún yìí pẹ̀lú ìgbọ̀wọ́ látọ̀dọ̀ Colgate, Kellogg's, Flour Mills Nigeria àti àtìlẹ́yìn Power Oil.
Golden Mon, your favorite breakfast cereal, is 35 years. Made in Niger, for Niger, by Niger. Now see us from Niger to the world.
Global now.
All thanks to you. So let's celebrate this journey with over 35 million in cash and prizes. Just return 2 empty 900-gram Heritage Edition sachets to your closest redemption center for an instant prize and a chance to be a millionaire. Visit the Golden Morn Nigerian pages on Facebook and Instagram for more details. Golden Morn. Make every day amazing.
In order to matter, matters of the state must matter to you.
If some people are crying that they are in darkness, they should go and hold those who vandalize the installation.
Let me say that the political crinkle.
Stay tuned to politics on 32 FM 94.9.
All right, welcome back. It's still the Podium on this dial, 32 FM 94.9. I still have my guests in the studio. You listen to the plight of some drug users there. Did you pity the young lady? She has kids. She got those kids on the street while abusing drugs on the street. She started with cocaine, and she lamented that her life is in a bad shape. You heard her cough there. She's not feeling fine, though she's being rehabilitated now. Or she would have used a better part of her life doing something constructive and something reasonable for herself. Honorable Olufemi Josiah,
yes, sir.
You listened to the young lady there. What has your office been doing so far to curtail the issue of substance abuse, especially amongst the youth? People like that young lady that spoke the other time. What are you doing with your office, basically?
Thank you. We have Youth Empowerment Rewind Initiative that is trying to address the challenges of youth restiveness and substance abuse. Because we find out that the two are interwoven. Most time when young people become restive, most of them are under the influence of drugs or substance. Yeah. And what are the major causes of these things? Unemployment is one of them. When people are not gainfully employed, they tend to find something else to do. Some of the youths that we have engaged, because we used to have serious, focused, good discussion with some of them. We interact with them, we interface with them. And we find out that some of them are even educated. Not all street youths are not schooled. Some of them are graduate. And the only way they can sustain themselves is to hustle, to be on the street. Some of them that are not on the street are even children of well-to-do people. That loneliness, the search for happiness is what makes some people to start abusing drug. Because of peer pressure, that they have friends that smoke cannabis, friends that smoke Colorado, and they will tell them, if you take this, you'll be happy. Yes, they might gain temporary happiness, but after some time, the thing will wear off them. So they are consistently hooked on that drug or substance.
We should be
so what we are trying to do, let me get it clear.
Okay.
It is not just enough to address a problem. We must also prevent the reoccurrence of such problem. That is what I mean when I say we are trying to break the cycle that produce young people that take drug and substance abuse as a lifestyle. If a child does not smoke cigarette before the age of 19, my brother, it's not likely that such a person will smoke cigarette as an adult. Go and find out. I used to smoke cigarette. I started smoking cigarette as early as the age of 12. By the time I was 24, I stopped. I had the strong will to stop. How many people could have done that? All my friends that are still smoking today started smoking young. And the ones that are not smoking, they smoke before they were 19. So what we are trying to say is this. If you can manage the life of a child through primary school and secondary school, and that child does not subscribe to some of these bad habits, the likelihood of such a person taking such habit and lifestyle, it's minimal. So we need to pay attention to raising our children, both at primary school and secondary school level. Let me tell you, look at most people disturbing the peace of this state today. They are between the age of 16 and 25. 10 years ago, how old were these people? They were between the age of 6 and 15. So what happened in the last 10 years? Was there no government in place? Because when I see people talk, I laugh. It's because the parents of such children failed to take care of them properly. The community was not paying attention, and the government failed to intervene. Now we are trying to intervene, and we've made education free. By the time every child is in school and is going through that socialization that every other child is going through, apart from the one being provided by parents. If parents fail, community should not fail. If both parents and community fail, government must not fail. But when these three institutions failed, then there is problem.
There's disaster.
Yes. So we must find a way to make sure that parents don't fail, communities are not failing, and government should not also fail. Right now, I will tell you for free that my office works closely with the leadership of Community Development Council. We have over 2,000 community development associations in this state. Under these thousands of community development associations, we have landlord and residents associations. And we are using this medium and all these institutions of government to tell them to take action. Let me tell you something. There is a law, the 1987 Community Development Committee law, that empowers community leaders to administer the administration of the government of their neighborhood. Don't even think Seyi Makinde is just the government. There is government at every level. The Community Development Council was constituted by government. It was created by a law. So people should look for that law and find out which powers do they have. You have power in your community to make arrests and hand over criminals to police. You have power in your community to report a parent that is failing in his duty to the social welfare. But when you are not paying attention, it's none of your business, and you are putting all the blame on government. It is everybody's business. Every responsible citizen must be part of government. Once you elect a government, play your own part. If there is a criminal suspect in your neighborhood, report such a person. No, but you see, the governor even gave out a number, 615. If you ask a lot of people in this state today, a lot of them don't even know that number exists. I've been in meetings and I will ask them, can you please tell me the number given out by the government in terms of in case of emergency? A lot of people don't know. We are just fond of blaming government in this society without taking responsibility, without playing our own part. I'm not saying government does not have its own challenges. But the truth of the matter is that we all must play our part. We all must take responsibility. We all must provide information for the necessary quarters. Nobody will sit in his office and know what is happening in your neighborhood if you don't raise an alarm. If you don't reach out to the necessary institutions of government that will take action.
If you see them abusing drugs, you need to raise an alarm. You can report them to the government. You have the powers to doing so. If
somebody is selling drug in your neighborhood, report the person. Let me give you an example. We just trained about 5,000 NAPMED members.
Yes.
Who are these NAPMED members? Chemist owner, people selling medicine in neighborhood. They have an association. On Wednesday, I was still in my office holding meeting with the leaders across the state. So we are doing the part we can. We are playing our own part. There are about 20,000 of them, according to them. Well, we trained 5,000 of them on psychotherapy. What is it all about? Talk therapy. Talking to people, trying to engage them. Because some people that are abusing drug need somebody to counsel them.
Yes.
They have things that are bothering their life. Yes. And some might not even know how to go about it. So if you are a channel of distribution, because most people that abuse cocaine and heroin never started with cocaine and heroin. Some of them started with as little as codeine, tramadol, cannabis. And after some time, they need something stronger. And if they can afford it, and some of them cannot even afford it, peer pressure. A friend that is rich can afford heroin, and it allows you to share out of it. And you find out that 70% of violent crime are propelled by this substance abuse.
Yeah.
So if you really want to address social challenges, crime, among other things,
you look at the channel of distribution.
And then we try to block them.
All right, thank you for featuring on the podium this morning. My guest has been the special assistant to the governor of your state on community relations, Olufemi Josiah. Thank you for being here this morning, and thank you for those insights on drug abuse and moral decadence. Don't go away. The next segment of the podium, we'll be talking shooting stars. We are preparing for the next season, the 2021-2022 season. What is happening within shooting stars? How do they do well in next season? Keep your fingers crossed. My next guest will be Akin Maxwell. Don't go away. Still the podium on 32 FM 94.9. I am Chike Ubogu.
Safasa pelisizo simnyama Iwasafa Isizo saba Kavula mono Haimiko kalize Wemaye wemodo Safasa pelisizo simnyama Iwasafa Isizo saba Kavula mono Haimiko kalize Maya yakala pasa pasa pelisizo sinyama iwasafa isizo sabatu alamulava aningo kalize maya wemodo
All right, it's still the Podium on 32 FM 94.9, the station where joy resides. My last guest was the former essay. All right, sorry for that mix-up. My last guest was the special assistant to the governor of Oyo State on community relations, and we talked about drug abuse and moral decadence in the society. It is now time to look at sports in Oyo State, sports administration in Oyo State. Shooting Stars, after how many years, they've gained promotion to the elite league, elite competition in Nigeria, the MPFL. The MPFL is the Nigerian Professional Football League. 2021-2022 season, Shooting Stars' first game will be against Gombe United, away from Ibadan. So, Ibadan fans won't be able to watch Shooting Stars on the first day, match day 1. But match day 2, Lagos Salami Stadium will be agog. But Shooting Stars, what do you know about Shooting Stars? Shooting Stars Sports Club. It's also known as 3SC, or you call it the Oliole Warriors. One of the founders of the Nigerian Premier League in 1972, when they were called the WNDC Ibadan. What is the WNDC? Western Nigerian Development Company. They were later called IICC, Industrial Investment and Credit Corporation, Shooting Stars of Ibadan. The nickname Shooting Stars was added with the suggestion of Team Foundation members, the late Jide Johnson and Niyomo, who was then the Ààrẹ Ọ̀dàn Liberty. Was the Ààrẹ Ọ̀dàn Liberty, Generalissimo of the Liberty Stadium, who believed that the players were shining stars in their own right. Shooting Stars is one of the most followed football clubs in Nigeria and played their home matches at the Lagos Salami Stadium. The typical Ibadan man calls it Shooting Stars. Shooting Stars. With me in the studio this morning to discuss Shooting Stars, the knocks within the team, and then how are they preparing for the new season. I have with me, I call him the last joker. He is an elderly young man, Akin Maxwell. Good to have you this morning.
Chike, good morning. I'm happy to be here again.
It's well. All right. I'll also be joined by our in-house sports person. I call him SP. SP. But he's in the person of Abimbola Lamid, the Sporting Crystal. Crystal, good morning. Good to have you.
Thank you, JK. It's my pleasure to be here too.
All right, we'll be doing some interesting discourse this morning. But before then, have you heard Shooting Stars Anthem before? Let us listen to Shooting Stars Anthem. Would you follow Shooting Stars? That's the Shooting Stars Anthem there. Although funkified, it's not the traditional Ibadan style. I know the Ibadan style will be Tania Tele Shooting Stars. Upsuiting.
Upstars.
Upsuiting.
Upstars.
Unfortunately, Shooting has not played in the MPFL for years. And now they're back to the MPFL. What has been going on with Shooting Stars? You were part of, Aki Maxwell was part of the Shooting Stars board. He was the secretary of Shooting Stars during the tenure of Elder Bodio Yewole in 1998, right? Then and now, can you compare the Shooting Stars of then and the Shooting Stars of now? What went wrong? Why is Shooting Stars where it is right now?
Chike, thank you very much for that question. For anybody who has been following Shooting Stars for years, who know Shooting Stars is a club that has culture. It's a club that is well accepted all over the world. But we have one thing in Shooting Stars: you must follow the trend of what has been happening in the past 30 years in Shooting Stars. There are some old men. They believe in what they believe.
What do they believe? What do they believe in? No holds
They,
barred.
they
Let's
believe in the culture of Shooting Stars.
What is the culture?
Shooting Stars is, apart from saying an institution, it's like someone who is from a masquerade family. Wherever he is, that spirit of that masquerade will always be following him. And you see, at times, he will be behaving as if he has put on that regalia of masquerade. Understand? That is exactly what is happening as far as culture of Shooting Stars is concerned.
You are talking in parables.
And anybody who has been an ardent follower of Shooting Stars will understand what I'm talking about. And since 1999, when Shooting Stars first got relegated after their poor performance in the CAF Champions League, Shooting Stars have never been the same again. People that really understand the running of Shooting Stars are no more there. People that always give support to Shooting Stars, both in the government level, at even local government, secretariat, and everywhere, even to the jungles of Ibadan, they are no more there.
Let me ask you, Aki Maxwell. You're talking about the local government, people that run Shooting Stars are no longer there. But from history, who owns Shooting Stars?
That is another 10 million naira question.
It shouldn't be, because from history,
Shooting Stars
yes,
is being owned by the government. Yes.
What government? From history, what we have here, Western Nigerian Development Company.
Is Western? Is that company not part of the government parastatal?
Is it one government that owns Shooting Stars? Because from records, it's owned by Odua Group.
In the olden days,
yeah,
it's not really Odua Group.
Okay.
They put it under a department to run
Odua.
Shooting Stars.
Okay.
Industrial Investment Credit Corporation run Shooting Stars in those days. Understand? Even before the creation of Oyo State. Now, when the team was changing, the administration was changing, tactically, it got to the hand of Chief Lekon Salami. Understand?
A supporter.
A strong supporter and financial of Shooting Stars. And this man run is very well before, even when Jembewan was there. And that was when we are so glorious, when Shooting Stars won first ever Continental Cup for Nigeria, Winners' Cup in 1976. See, when I say tradition, people that understand the nitty-gritty of running Shooting Stars are no more there. But we cannot rule it out. Let me give you an example of someone who is not from Ibadan, who is not from Oyo State, former governor of Osun State, Engineer Rauf Aregbesola. You can, if you go to him for anything, he will tell you, if it's not Shooting Stars, I am not interested. This is a man that has been following Shooting Stars right from the day when he was so young in primary school, secondary school. When he was at university, Polytechnic Ibadan, he will leave school and come to Liberty Stadium, trek from Songo to Liberty and trek back because of the passion and the love he has for Shooting Stars. And up to today, he's one of the people I respect that he said, I can never put my money on anything than Shooting Stars. Now, away from there, now people are no more interested in Shooting Stars like a religion. Because people that supposed to put them across, put them in, initiate them the way it has been done, as it has been done in the past, they are not there. Understand?
Crystal, quickly, you are a sports person, you're a sport presenter, you've been following Shooting Stars and other sports, other teams in the NPFL. What would you say is the problem with Shooting Stars? Would you align your thoughts with that of Akim Maxwell?
To some extent, I will, but at the same time, if you want to talk about the situation Shooting Stars finds itself now, we can always look at an area like information dissemination and Shooting Stars as a tool in the hand of government. Not every governor coming on board sees this team as a team that people are passionate about, but how can I utilize this team to my own advantage? Anybody who wants to win the heart of an ordinary Ibadan man, construction apart, social amenities apart, every other thing involved apart, but number one thing that can circulate, that can please every citizen of this particular state, Ibadan precisely and beyond, is taking good care of Shooting Stars. This is the reason I see why people are holding so much on this team, but not from the depth of their heart, but from their own personal benefit. So I see. Is
Shooting Stars a profitable business venture that people are milking from it?
Well, from what you just said now, I would like to balkanize few things. If you say it's an avenue for some people to enrich themselves, you are very right. And if you say no, you are still right. Reason be that, you see, a lot of news run around the corner. I talked about information dissemination the other time. When news are not well propagated through the right sources, and when news propagation is through who know who, and what have you weighed the capability of this particular set of people you see as who know who in the course of their dissemination of information? This information has even been eroded. The information is already eroded, and by the time the last receiver, we end up taking the news. It's like another man taking news straight from the right source. They will throw it anyhow. And by the time these people who are supposed to know the real things happen in the circle of Shooting Stars are to get the news from within. Let me tell you, like you now, you could be a father to any of the players in Shooting Stars playing right now. You could have been a old school friend to any of the management of Shooting Stars now. There is no way I will call somebody like Akim Maxwell now. What about this? What about this? It will divulge information to me. If I'm a friend to somebody like Kabongo, with due respect to his office, and as a younger brother, let me say, Kabongo and we do sit together and drink a bottle of water together once in a blue moon. Okay, what is happening in the team? Because the office of the media personnel are not using the right channel to divulge information. We will believe in many lies. When you talk about being profitable or not, that's where I'm landing. If you say it is profitable to some people, I will say yes, because this is the information being received from the wrong channels through which this information are being passed out. Then if you say it is not business profit oriented, I will say yes, because how much is being placed on this particular league we are running in the country? How much is the sponsorship deal we have for MPFL? How much is Shooting Stars getting back from playing every games they played?
All right, Aki Maxwell, quickly before we go on a break, is Shooting Stars profitable? During your time when you were secretary on the board of Shooting Stars, you people worked, right? You got Shooting Stars to that enviable height. You were part of the team that was there before Shooting Stars eventually went on relegation in 1999. Now, is Shooting Stars profitable from what you see today? Are some people trying to capitalize on that profitability of the team to milking the team dry? How much is Shooting Stars subvention per month? Let's start from there.
Well, Chike, Shooting Stars is highly profitable if properly managed. I don't. If I say the governor of Oyo State or the government of Oyo State is giving Shooting Stars 10 billion, or precisely what they are getting now is 25 million every month.
Every month, 25 million.
But it's not even up to what Shooting Stars is needed. It's not up to.
So
I cannot ascribe.
Let's get it right, because we're looking at figures here.
That figure is not even up to run Shooting Stars very well.
But for now, they get 25 million subvention from government every month, right? From the present administration.
Yes, of course.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, of course.
Okay. And then this government has done that for about 2 years now.
Yes,
right?
Of course.
Okay. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, we'll play with these figures and see how we can make sense out of it. It's still 32 FM 94.9, station where joy resides, and the program is the Podium on this dial. Don't go away. I still have Aki Maxwell and Sporting Crystal Abimbola Lamid with me in the studio.
Just because you do not take an interest in politics doesn't mean politics won't take an interest in you.
The funds spent were properly spent because we got them from intervention funds.
Only you waka come. There is God.
I don't know which party my wife belongs to, but she belongs to my kitchen and my living room and the other room.
Stay in tune with politics on 32 FM 94.9.
ọjà tàǹtà ní Royal Q and Trading Roberts. Bí o bá ti gbọ́ nípa Royal Trading Apps, a kí ọ kú oríire. Bó o bá wá tí gbọ́ nípa rẹ̀ rí, a jẹ́ wípé kó o súnmọ́ wa láti ní ìrírí rẹ̀. Royal Q Roberts ní ètò kan pàtàkì láti mú àlékún bá owó dọ́là rẹ tó fi ń dókòwò nípele ìpele, ṣùgbọ́n kò lè kọjá àlà. Royal Q ń pa owó fún ọ lẹ́yìn rẹ̀ lóṣooṣù. Láti túbọ̀ mọ̀ nípa rẹ̀ sí, kàn sí wa lónìí ní nọ́mbà 32 Ilé Ìtẹ̀síwájú Ọbádébímpé Road, Dùgbẹ̀ Junction, Nígbàgì Àtijọ́, Ìbàdàn, tàbí kó o pẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí 08140373888 fún ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà ní Ìbàdàn nìkan, àmọ́ ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lÉkòó ẹ pè sí 08082218224. Ojoojúmọ́ là ń pàdé nìkan bí ọwọ́ aago 11 àárọ̀ yàtọ̀ sọ́jọ́ àìkú Sunday. Ìwọ náà wà láti gba ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ lórí ọ̀nà bí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ rẹ ti ṣe lè jẹ́ dúkìá gidi fún ẹ. Royal Q kò lè sọ ọ́ di mílíọ̀nìyà lójú ẹsẹ̀ o, ṣùgbọ́n ó mú àlékún bá owó tó fi ń dókòwò ní sísẹ̀ntẹ̀lé, kò sì tún ní owó àlàgàtà nínú. Ọwọ́ rẹ ni àyàmọ́ rẹ wà báyìí o. Royal Q Robots ní ìrírí ọjọ́ iwájú tó dára báyìí.
Mo jẹ́ abiyamọ tó níṣẹ́ lọ́wọ́, mo sì jẹ́ ìyàwó ilé àti alámòjútó lágbègbè mi. Nípa ìdí èyí, ọwọ́ mi dí púpọ̀. Ìwọ̀nba ni àkókò tí mo ní láti lè máa ṣe àbẹ̀wò lóòrèkóòrè sí ilé ìwòsàn fún gbígba oògùn adènà ìlóyún. Oògùn adènà ìlóyún alábẹ́rẹ́ àdálò lẹ́ẹ̀kan ṣoṣo fún mi ní oore ọ̀fẹ́ àti ààbò àìlóyún fóṣù 3. Mo lè dá ara mi gún ní abẹ́rẹ́ yìí pẹ̀lú ìbàlẹ̀ ọkàn. Dandan sì kọ́ ní kẹ́nikẹ́ni ó mọ̀ sí. Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́, mi ò dára mi lójú pé mo lè ní ìgboyà náà láti gún ara mi lábẹ́rẹ́. Ṣùgbọ́n pẹ̀lú ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àti ìrànwọ́, mo róye pé ìlànà tí ó rọrùn ni, tí kò sì pani lára ni. Oògùn adènà ìlóyún gígún ara ẹni lábẹ́rẹ́ ti fún mi ní agbára láti pinnu ìgbà tí mo tún lè lóyún bí mo bá fẹ́. Ó sì fún mi ní òmìnira nínú àsìkò tó péye láti dá irú obìnrin tí mo jẹ́ àti ohun tí mo bá fẹ́ láti dà.
Fún àlàyé sí i lórí àdálù abẹ́rẹ́ adènà oyún àti àwọn ìlànà ìfètòsọ́mọ bíbí mìíràn, ẹ pè 321 lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ lórí ojúpo ìpè Airtel yín nìkan, tàbí kí ẹ kàn sí ìtàkùn àgbáyé wa discoveryourpower.org. Ìkéde yìí ń wá pẹ̀lú àtìlẹ́yìn àjọ elétò ìlera ìjọba àpapọ̀.
Uncle Dentist, wetin be cavities and how Colgate take dey protect my teeth from cavities? Shey dey use comfort?
No dear, na hole for teeth dey cause most tooth pain wey be cavity. But if you use Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection take brush every day, the confirmed formula go help keep natural calcium inside our teeth wey go protect them from tooth decay.
Time don reach to upgrade to the world's most chosen toothpaste, Colgate, because Colgate locks calcium in.
Now, the Nigerian Dental Association, they recommend Colgate.
Welcome back from that break. It's still the Podium on 32 FM 94.9, the station where joy resides. We are talking about shooting stars. What is happening with shooting stars? Before we went on that break, you talked about the monthly subvention to shooting stars as being 25 million. Okay, 25 million. And then you ask yourself a question. What will it cover? Because you said it's not enough. What does it cover?
See, Chike, the amount of money being spent on league matches, if you're an insider, you know that money is too much. And for any club to sustain the league very well, must be a mega boss team. And allowances being paid, remove salaries out of 25 million. At least an average player in shooting stars earn close about 150 to 200.
150 to 200,000 per week or per month?
Some players per month.
Per month?
Some players collect 300. Some players 400, depending on your level. Understand? It's not flat rate salary that they pay. Understand? So when you calculate the salaries being paid, remove it from so-called 20 or 25 million. How much remain? To execute matches is not easy. And some other sundry expenses that you and I might not know if you are not there. Understand? Because I've been there. There are some expenses that people don't even see that goes into the administration of football.
Relevant expenses. Or irrelevant expenses?
Relevant expenses.
Can you give us examples of these relevant expenses?
What about medical? Medical expenses is high. You and I know how much we spend when we have malaria, when we have some ailment in our homes. Not to talk of medical expenses on players.
Akim Maxwell.
30, 35, the number of players. And apart from that, not only the players, what about the backroom staffs and the staffs in the administrative staffs in the office?
Akim Maxwell, if shooting stars had a clubhouse and all these things fit into place, don't you think these expenses will reduce?
Thank you very much. 1997, when I joined Shooting Stars, I write a blueprint that Shooting Stars should follow. That time we wrote a letter to the Odua group of company to release that clubhouse for Shooting Stars through the SSG, Mr. Debisi then. And it got to a stage for Odua to release, because Odua is the owner of the property there. When we left for the administration that took over from us to follow up, they neglected the file.
What property are you looking at? Are you talking about?
That clubhouse is on rentage.
The clubhouse at Jericho?
That clubhouse at Jericho is not the property of Shooting Stars.
So Shooting Stars pays rent?
They pay, honestly.
And where the players sleep at the dish, they pay rent too?
They pay rent too. Let me give you a shocker. During our time, we have a lot of money. We generated money. And there's a petrol station that was to be sold. And an hotel. I won't mention the name of the hotel now, but people
somewhere at Okeado.
Yeah,
I know the hotel.
That hotel, they want to say we have enough to buy the hotel. Then we have enough to buy the petrol station. Then if we have been able to acquire either of the two, then that will be a feasible asset of Shooting Stars today, and they will have been generating money from it.
So basically, Shooting Stars is a liability right now.
As far as I'm concerned, with what I know, Shooting Stars is a liability company. But and mind you, let me tell you another thing. Who are the directors of Shooting Stars? Who formed Shooting Stars Sports Club? People don't think back. They need to go and check the records. Who are the directors? When Shooting Stars was registered as a limited liability company.
Aki Maxwell will look at that very soon. We'll go back to the history and those that founded Shooting Stars. However, the pertinent issue here now is 25 million naira is being given to the club every month. So for 2 years, you're looking at about 600 million. Okay. Now, do they have players they bought themselves? Does Shooting Stars have players that you say, okay, this is a Shooting Stars player? Because most times you hear in the Nigerian Professional League, Crystal, most times when you hear in the Nigerian Professional League is we borrowed players to play this tournament. We got players on loan to do this. Most clubs or some clubs don't have players of their own. And this is peculiar to Shooting Stars too. Isn't that a problem? And you have this little, okay, you have 25 million. You say it's little, but you still have that coming every month. At least when you save some money out of it for maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 months, you gather some money to buy players. But as of today, with the reports reaching me, is that many of the players in Shooting Stars are not even owned by the club.
Well, I have something to say about that. As this runs across a majority of our clubs in Nigeria, especially in NNL and the lower division, some matured club sides in the NPFL, they can boast of players that belong to them. Do you want to rate the class of Eyimba? The class of
Kano Pillars,
Rangers of Enugu.
Yes.
Who, when they acquire United, when they acquire player, they unveil. You know how this person gets into this particular team. But in a situation whereby this thing is even pertinent to Crown of Ogbomoso, but because they are not the case study today, a situation whereby we will say we throw open camp. This open camp, it means any player can come from any angle, whether you play for an amateur side or not. But when we secure players like this that we say we got from open camp, how do we get to listen again that these players are on loan from other sides? To be candid, to be factual about it, some of these players are on loan according to information.
Loan
on loan.
Okay.
From individuals, not club sites most of the time.
From individuals,
according to what we learned.
So an individual is a club that loans out players to a football club.
That is why I talk about information dissemination. An area whereby the people in charge should not see anybody as an enemy to Shooting Stars, a property that people like us grew up to know. That we know this is an ancestral property of Ibadan. But because it's like some things are behind paper that should not be unveiled to some other people, that is why we are running away from the media. Somebody should be coming up. Now, the situation we're facing in Nigeria now, Ibadan especially, it is no more the era of when it is Radio Nigeria alone whereby you can call a presenter down and we talk about it. It is everywhere. If you cannot address everybody simultaneously and you think I can only talk to these people because of sizes, upcoming journalists who can talk and make bomb blow, who notice you think are behind their scores. No, sit journalists down, press conference on regular basis, allow journalists to be the ones asking questions, not a situation whereby somebody will tell another anchor don't go to that area.
You're talking of transparency.
Yes.
Right? Okay, Aki Maxwell, let's get back to the question I threw at Crystal. Buying players, borrowing players, loaning players. We're going into a new season. Is Shooting Stars going into a season with their own players, or borrowed players, or loan players? Which one are we looking at?
From information I gathered, Shooting Stars is not ready to take any player on loan this time around because they have gotten the backing of the governor to go all out to look for players Shooting Stars will buy.
Okay, prior to the statement by the governor.
Before now, situation warrants the management to seek players on loan.
On loan.
Okay. Some players on loan.
And others borrowed.
Not really borrowed. If you say you borrowed or loan, it's still the same thing.
No.
Understand?
In the Nigerian professional football, you have been in the system. You understand this terminology. A player on loan is different from a player borrowed. Sometimes you hear, we borrow this player from this club.
See, the point is, we have gotten it wrong from the beginning, from the basics. We don't have a good academy. We don't have even players with contracting clubs in this country. No player can boast of having a contract with any football club in this country, except few players, both in Kano Pillars and Eyimba, and probably Aqua United. The point is, if you're on loan, that means somebody is behind your coming to that club, and the system in Nigeria has really bastardized the football administration in this country. And how can you say you're on loan when there's no contract agreement, solid contract agreement that will give you as a loanee and the players and the club that's sending the players to be on the same page, and you make money? If I get a player on loan, then there must be a special clause on that contract. Then do we have contract for those players? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. If you go to Nigerian football, MPFL now, the contract you see for players there is playing contract, not a legitimate representative contract that players should have with the club. That is where we are getting it wrong.
May I not have
understand? See, recently, about 2 weeks ago, just last week, some players of Sunshine Stars disrupted their training, and they even disrupted a friendly match that's supposed to be played with Kwara United because they are owing them money. And when I asked questions, I called the players involved in those crises. I asked them, do you have contract with Sunshine Stars? You have spent close about 12 years with Sunshine Stars. Do you have contract? And that player is even Henry Ayodele. It's an household name in Nigerian Football League. Now this player has spent close about 12 years with Sunshine Stars. He doesn't have a contract.
Without a contract?
I'm telling you. So it's all over like that. I don't even know whether Shooting Stars players has contract or not, because the only thing I can lay my hands on is the contract they sign for playing the league, and that is what the club administrators normally give to the players.
Okay, just to play the league, they give them letters.
They give them which letters? There's a form to fill, and inside that form they will put the number of years there, and that was what they always capitalize on. You are on contract 2 years, 3 years, but these players are supposed to have their own copy of the contract that they sign with the club. That's how it should be. I'm a football agent. Yeah. I'm a licensed football agent. I know how it is being run, but no club in this country that follows the rules. And the Nigerian Football and the LMC, they are the chief culprit of this, because they don't enforce this that clubs should follow.
When you talk about these players, let's still look at this. Has Shooting Stars generated funds from the sale of players? Because from what you are saying now, you say some players are players of Shooting Stars.
If Shooting Stars generate fund from sales of players, where is the money? Do they declare the money? And what is the system of declaring such a money? Because when we were there, when I was the secretary, I transferred players within Nigeria, and I even transferred players outside Nigeria. And we declared the money in dollars, the one we transfer immediately. And that was when the governor said, so one thing, thank God you have some money that you've gotten from a player that went to Lebanon. Then use this money. That was the money we used to execute the league till the end of the season, and to God be the glory. We won that league and we won the WAFU because from the money we generated from transfers.
Now you're talking about something very, very pertinent. Generation of money from the sale of players via transfers, right? Now, the likes of Tony Ejomarigbe was sold from Shooting Stars. The likes of Ajayi, Junior Ajayi, was sold. The likes of Sunday Faleye.
But these players you are mentioning, are they property of Shooting Stars? If they are not the property of Shooting Stars, where will Shooting Stars get those money?
So Shooting Stars does not have any player that was sold.
Those players you mentioned then, they were on loan to Shooting Stars.
Okay, now presently there are some players. For example, what happened to Abayomi Jr.?
I think he's still the property of Shooting Stars.
Is it property?
It's still property of Shooting Stars.
He's owned by Shooting Stars.
It's owned by Shooting Stars.
Not by any other club.
No, I don't think so.
But he's lining up for Kwara United.
Exactly.
He's lining up for Kwara. He's still on loan to Kwara United from Shooting Stars.
From Shooting Stars.
He's still on loan to Kwara United.
Obviously,
Ayobami
Jr. is owned by Shooting Stars.
It's owned by Shooting Stars.
One of those players owned by Shooting Stars.
Yes, of course.
What other players do you feel Shooting Stars own right now? Apart from Ayobami Jr.
I think this is the area where the media department of Shooting Stars should be up and doing.
Exactly.
Understand? One thing Shooting Stars is lacking is information dissemination. Media department is the pillar of any administration. Whatever you need to know, you go straight to the media department. Functioning website is not there. And if you have a media officer, the media officer of Shooting Stars is very hardworking. But the point is, he has a limit. There are some things he could not say. He needs to guard his job. Right. He needs to protect his job. If he says something that he knows is real, the manager might call him that, who told you to release this information?
And he might lose his job.
He might lose his job.
Okay.
It's a good aburo.
Many things are shrouded in secrecy within the club.
One thing is that they must let that media department be viable.
And independent.
Be live and independent. Because that is the image maker.
That's a lifeline
of the club. Because anybody, anywhere, all over the world, if you want to know anything about Shooting Stars, go to the media department straight away. And we know whatever you hear that is authentic. But do the government themselves or the management of Shooting Stars give the media department what they really needed and the confidence to speak on behalf of Shooting Stars management.
Now, the question I will ask before we go on a break is this. You just mentioned one player being owned by Shooting Stars, but parades now for Kwara United, right? Shooting Stars now is in the MPFL. What players are owned by the club? The governor has given the mandate to the management to go look out for players, buy players, so that the club owns players. And then many other issues like that. We'll still talk about it. Let's go on this break. And when we come back, remember, the program is still the Podium. We're looking at sports administration in Oyo State, especially with the Shooting Star Sports Club, popularly known as the 3SC. Don't go away. It's still the Podium. I am Chike Ubogo.
àgbọ̀fíẹ́ tí yóò gbàlejò jésù tó gbẹ́nu pásítọ̀ mrs ẹ̀bùn olúwaṣeyì bákàrẹ̀ jp màmá gbọ́rọ̀ mi rò ń bọ̀ ní new view event center ládùúgbò àgbọ̀fíẹ́ tí lápáta operation fire for fire lolúwa ní kí màmá gbọ́rọ̀ mi rò gbé lọ sí gbọ̀ngàn ìgbàlejò tuntun tó ń bẹ lágbọ̀fíẹ́ tí spiritual warfare is here operation fire for fire part 7 the final saga for 2021 devil cannot disturb this 11th hour miracle is yours ọlọ́run ìpè pásítọ̀ mrs ẹ̀bùn olúwaṣeyì bákàrẹ̀ jp tún máa fa ìdá ẹ̀mí mímọ́ yọ gbogbo ọwọ́ tó ń dá ire dúró lára rẹ̀ yóò gbiná sọnù at Operation Fire for Fire Part 7 with a theme 11th Hour Miracle. Out on Tuesday 30th November 2021 at New View Event Center, Plot 5 and 6, Akilakpa Estate, along All State College Road, Agbofieti Àpáta Ìbàdàn. Oh la la! Kí ló ti wojú Ọlọ́run fún lọ́jọ́ tó ti pẹ́? Wá tó Jésù wò nínú ayé Pastor Mrs. Ẹ̀bọ́lú Olúwaṣeyì Bákàrẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ Tuesday tó parí oṣù kọkànlá at 10 p.m. Ministry. Pastor Mrs. Ẹ̀bọ́lú Olúwaṣeyì Bákàrẹ̀ JP and other anointed men of God. 11th Hour Miracle awaits you. Àṣẹ tí ò ní bá mi o.
Mo jẹ́ abiyamọ tó níṣẹ́ lọ́wọ́, mo sì jẹ́ ìyàwó ilé àti alámòjútó lágbègbè mi. Nípa ìdí èyí, ọwọ́ mi dí púpọ̀. Ìwọ̀nba ni àkókò tí mo ní láti lè máa ṣe àbẹ̀wò lóòrèkóòrè sí ilé ìwòsàn fún gbígba oògùn adènà ìlóyún. Oògùn adènà ìlóyún alábẹ́rẹ́ àdálò lẹ́ẹ̀kan ṣoṣo fún mi ní oore ọ̀fẹ́ àti ààbò àìlóyún fóṣù 3. Mo lè dá ara mi gún ní abẹ́rẹ́ yìí pẹ̀lú ìbàlẹ̀ ọkàn. Dandan sì kọ́ ní kẹ́nikẹ́ni ó mọ̀ sí. Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́, mi ò dára mi lójú pé mo lè ní ìgboyà náà láti gún ara mi lábẹ́rẹ́. Ṣùgbọ́n pẹ̀lú ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àti ìrànwọ́, mo róye pé ìlànà tí ó rọrùn ni, tí kò sì pani lára ni. Oògùn adènà ìlóyún gígún ara ẹni lábẹ́rẹ́ ti fún mi ní agbára láti pinnu ìgbà tí mo tún lè lóyún bí mo bá fẹ́. Ó sì fún mi ní òmìnira nínú àsìkò tó péye láti dá irú obìnrin tí mo jẹ́ àti ohun tí mo bá fẹ́ láti dà.
Fún àlàyé sí i lórí àdálù abẹ́rẹ́ adènà oyún àti àwọn ìlànà ìfètòsọ́mọ bíbí mìíràn, ẹ pè 321 lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ lórí ojúpo ìpè Airtel yín nìkan tàbí kí ẹ kàn sí ìtàkùn àgbáyé wa discoveryourpower.org. Ìkéde yìí ń wá pẹ̀lú àtìlẹ́yìn àjọ elétò ìlera ìjọba àpapọ̀.
Every kid is amazing at something.
Amazing Day instant cereal. Feed their amazing.
Ìgbàgbọ́ ti dìdàkudà ní gbogbo ayé ń wí, iṣẹ́ ìránṣẹ́ ti di nǹkan wá nǹkan jẹ ni wọ́n ń sọ. Bẹ́ẹ̀ àwọn èèyàn kan sì ń bẹ tí wọ́n jìyà fún Kristi nítorí iṣẹ́ ìránṣẹ́, àwọn akọni onígbàgbọ́ tí wọ́n forí lakú nítorí iṣẹ́ Olúwa.
Wọ́n nà wọ́n. Wọ́n kìlọ̀ fún wọn pé wọn kò gbọ́dọ̀ fi orúkọ Jésù sọ̀rọ̀ mọ́. Wọ́n ń yọ̀ nítorí a kà wọ́n yẹ fún àwọn tí a fi àbùkù kàn nítorí orúkọ Jésù.
Akọni onígbàgbọ́. Lórí ètò akọni onígbàgbọ́ lẹ́yìn tí máa gbọ́ kàyéfì àwọn ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ sáwọn akọni onígbàgbọ́ níbi tí wọ́n ti forí lakú nítorí ìrere. Akọni onígbàgbọ́. Ẹ ti ẹ̀dùn náà sọ́wọ́ àwọn ọmọ ogun òkùnkùn ọba kankan nínú àwọn akọni sá ṣé kankan ò sì farapa lójú ìjà. Ọ̀dà ní gbogbo ọjọ́ Sunday ní kùtù hàì ní fẹ̀rẹ̀ kojúmọ́ tó mọ́ dáadáa láàrin aago 6 sí 7 àárọ̀ ní kẹ́ ẹ mọ́ pàdé mi lórí ìkànnì yìí 32 FM 94.9 àjàkẹrin ní Cocoa House lórí ètò tá a pè ní akọni onígbàgbọ́. Kúnlẹ̀ Bello ló kọ́ tèmi jẹ́ o aago 6 sí 7 láàárọ̀ Sunday ń lè tò.
Bàbá tẹ́tẹ́ máa wọlé oníwòsàn ìbílẹ̀ máa níṣó. Ṣé ìtọ́jú tẹ́ mú wá fún wa o káàbọ̀ àti ìrètí rẹ̀.
Bàbá tẹ́tẹ́ ń dé o
adíáfún oníwòsàn ìbílẹ̀ káàrọ̀ ọ̀tọ̀ tó ti kalẹ̀ sígboro ìlú Ìbàdàn. Bàbá tẹ́tẹ̀ níjẹ́ tó bá jẹ́ ti ká gbani nímọ̀ràn lórí onírúurú àìlera ara. A kọ́kọ́ ṣe àyẹ̀wò fínífíní fún yín lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ pẹ̀lú àwọn ẹ̀rọ ìgbàlódé kí ẹ tó gbà yín nímọ̀ràn lórí ìtọ́jú tí ó yẹ. Gbogbo àwọn tó ti yọjú sílé iṣẹ́ wa ni wọ́n ń dúpẹ́ fẹ́lẹ́dùmarè ọba.
ọ̀rẹ́ níbo lọ́dọ̀ bàbá tẹ́ntẹ́n.
Number 5 Adébára Street lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ Abbey Technical School Odùọ̀nà Eléwé off Akala Express Oríta Challenge Ìbàdàn. Ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ wọn ni 08052255073 tàbí 08162868004.
ìbílẹ̀ bàbá kan ló ń tì ọ́ lẹ́yìn. Safasa pelisizo simnyama iwasafa kavula mona.
Welcome back. It's still the Podium on 32 FM 94.9. Shooting Stars knocks and preparations for the 2021-2022 season. What happened in the past should not happen again, so that the shining light, the stars, will shine again. I still have with me Aki Maxwell and Abimbola Lamy, the sporting crystal, in the studio. We've been extracting the issues of Shooting Stars. I think it's high time we start looking at solutions to these problems. But before the solutions, let's look at more problems. There are problems abound, right? Before we went on that break, we were talking about media and this dissemination of information and all that. I think the media officer has been doing well in recent time. However, he's fist cuffed in releasing some information. So many things are shrouded in secrecy, right? Is that what we're looking at?
I don't want to say secrecy.
Okay.
Say, is the information given to the media officer that he will release?
What of the information that is not given to him?
How will I say something that my master did not instruct me to say out?
Right.
That is this.
Don't you think is a problem it's part of the problem?
It's one of the problems. See, if you are transparent, you don't need to hide anything. Whatever your media officer says, because it's part of the management, he knows what is going on. So at times, even is the person that people should relate with, not the general manager, not the team manager, not the coach, not even the admin, because whatever you hear from him is authentic. But in a situation whereby he will tell you it's a classified information, please don't use yet, or I just feel like telling you, but it's not for public consumption. Okay. That you know that information is real, but you don't dare release it because you have to answer questions. How do you get the information? And that is where the media guys are having problem with Shooting Stars. Understand? Shooting Stars must be open to everybody, irrespective of your status or wherever your angle you are coming from. Media is digital now. It's no more analog. Understand? If you fail to release information, like the issue of how much do Shooting Stars get per month. Some people are saying 20 million, some people are saying 50 million, some people are saying 25 million. But if they really come out to the media, understand, there won't be any speculation.
And dispel all these rumors and all that. Honestly, nobody would raise any eyebrow.
Understand? But the point is, government are not even sincere with what they are doing with Shooting Stars. Government must be open. Understand? This is how much we give to Shooting Stars, and this is what they brought to us, and this is why we are giving them this. But do the budget of Shooting Stars is even open? That's another question. Do the budget is open? When they are dividing their budget, what did the government approve for them? We are just hearing they approve a certain amount of money. They now break it down to 20 or 25 million per month.
Is there a cartel?
Understand?
Is there a cartel with
when the money is coming, the money goes to the Ministry of Youth and Sports first.
Okay.
Understand? Who knows whether ministry has done something or cleared something along the line? Nobody knows.
Government magic?
Understand? Government magic is everywhere.
Okay.
It's everywhere. But the point is, in this new dispensation, this new era of Nigerian Professional Football League that Shooting Stars is going to play, I want them to be extra careful in information, one, and they should be transparent in whatever they are doing to let people know what is happening in Shooting Stars. Understand? The number of players that belong to Shooting Stars, the number of players that are on loan. Now, just yesterday I learned that a new player just joined the club from Kano Pillars.
On loan or
he
outright
has just arrived. Whether they have signed him, and once a player is coming in like that,
yes,
you need to make announcement immediately that
my problem.
This player is coming from Kano player. We have cleared him. Not to talk of we want to look at him. Understand? Has he done the medical before joining the club? Has he joining the club straight to the medical to know whether you have signed him or you want to sign him? But they will tell us.
I want to ask
they
you
are
some
still
question.
assessing them.
Yes, I want to ask you a question.
For how long?
First of all, are players being unveiled?
When
was the last time Shooting Stars unveiled a player? When was the last time you heard Shooting Stars took a player for medicals? Do we have the medical facility? What are these things?
A lot of things to be restructured in Shooting Stars. Understand? There's no media department, so to say. I stand to be corrected.
There is.
Wait, okay.
There is.
Let me hear you.
With due respect to that,
they have media officer.
There is. The media
to have media officer is different from having a media department.
Exactly where I'm going. He has been limited to an electronic media officer, disseminating information via WhatsApp, via Twitter, Instagram. In fact, if you go to our Instagram, I think we have to. There was a time I started canvassing personally for Shooting Stars on Twitter when we're still active in Nigeria here. Canvassing for Shooting Stars, even when Shooting Stars cannot boast of enough followers like individual like me. I started canvassing. But what I'm trying to say is, if you want this team to grow, no amount of pressure can make somebody like me leave Shooting Stars until I exist no more. It's our ancestral property.
I too. I can't leave
I've been watching Shooting Stars since 1994. My uncle Bilamino Akutude, Around Odiaje will carry me to go and watch Shooting Stars. I grew up with it. What I'm saying is this, with due respect to my uncle, this is it. There is no balance in life in any capacity. No organization is ever balanced. There is always loopholes. There is always up and downs, the valleys, the hills. But Shooting Stars should learn to tolerate when people sing their praises and a time when they see the wrong side of you, because you can never be perfect. When we see the wrong side of you, we are trying to let you know that this area is weak. Let's work on it. Let's get the best out of Shooting Stars. It is many people's property, and when you come out to eat on an area that you see is weak in Shooting Stars, they will say you're on the other side.
All right, still talking about Shooting Stars on 32 FM 94.9. Moving forward, looking at ways to salvage the issue and make sure that Shooting Stars stays at the top division and never comes down again. Aki Maxwell, Shooting Stars signed players from fellow NNL sides, while other newly promoted sides signed from the MPFL sides ahead of the new campaign. Isn't that a wrong move, and won't it affect the chances of the club in beating the drop?
It won't affect Shooting Stars. You can even buy player from academy. You understand? Depending on the kind of quality players you want. Playing a professional league side doesn't mean that you are better than a player coming from an academy. You understand? So it depends on the quality of players that you really needed. If the quality of players you need is from academy, why not bring the player from academy? See, this player coming from Premier League side, they are not all of them are fantastic. I've watched them. I've watched the league for how many years? Not all of them are fantastic. So understand, where the action is really is the NNL and the NLO. That is where you get the raw players, talented players from NLO and academy. So for any good team who really want to invest in football, should go for this kind of player in the academies and the NLO and the NNL. That is where you see good players that you can market. Understand? If you have good players from this league and you give them good contracts about 3 years, 4 years, there's going to be a continuity in your team. Once a player leaves, you get another replacement in play. But the situation whereby you take player from MPFL, the Premier League, so-called, because you don't have a league at all in this country. So the so-called Premier League, if you get players there, they will be giving you conditions that at the end of the day, they will be going or whatever.
How do we fix Shooting Stars' problems ahead of the new campaign? You can join this discussion 0705 5000 949 0809 7000 949. Those are the numbers to call. What are your thoughts? How do we fix Shooting Stars? Abimbola Lami says it's his ancestral property. How do we fix his ancestral property in Ibadan? Will the sun shine again? Will Shooting Stars win the league anytime soon? What plans are on ground? 0705 5000 949 and 0809 7000 949. 0909. Those are the numbers to call. And I have this question for you, Krista.
Okay.
Shooting Stars has not played any high-profile team lately. Pre-season and all that. Then you want to ask a question, especially at the Adamasingba Stadium, the newly renovated stadium.
I led the training recently.
When the season starts, don't you think they will struggle with their rhythm, in the new season? Let's pick this call before we go ahead. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Your name and where you're calling from. Make it brief.
My name is Abiodun Morakio. I have been listening to you and I've been following your guests on the studio.
All right.
But one thing I want you to know very clearly is that Shooting Stars, we cannot provide solutions to Shooting Stars problem on radio. It's going to be a round table discussion. Those at Shooting Stars know their problem. We from outside, we don't know their problem. But if they now need help, they have to reach out. They know those who have been in Shooting Stars before. They know the supporters. They know fans. They know people who understand football. Thank God Maxwell is there. Maxwell is Mr. Fixing. He understands the nitty-gritty of football politics here. And we that train under Ogujobi and Baba Olukobi, we understand what is going on. Government is one of the problems of Shooting Stars. If government is going to give them 500 million, which is taking change, let government come out and say, we are giving Shooting Stars 500 million. Okay, that Shooting Stars is going to now come out and tell the whole world, okay, we are buying 5 players at so amount per each player. And that solves the basic problem. The basic problem is honesty here. Shooting Stars must be very honest and objective in whatever they are doing. They must come out clear. Then government should not play politics with Shooting Stars. Shooting Stars is beyond any other person, even beyond the government. But Shooting Stars belong to every one of us. And mind you, if you don't know, Shooting Stars is the most popular club in Africa and have the largest followership anywhere in Africa. So just coming on radio and saying this, no. They should call a stakeholders meeting. And there are some people, their objective is to eat Shooting Stars dry, pretending they are providing solutions. So care must really be taken. Those who really love Shooting Stars, kudos to those that are managing Shooting Stars now. At least they have tried. Whether through the back door,
all right, we have to let you go so that we pick other calls.
And I think we should give kudos to them.
Thank you for calling. 070550949 080970949. Let's pick one more call or one or two before we call it a day in the studio. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name and where you're calling from. Kindly make it brief.
Yeah, Anola Abiodun on the line. How are you?
Very fine, thank you.
Very interesting discourse you are having there. Firstly, for ease of reference, I was very actively involved when Usman find out the management of the franchise to IGI. So Maxwell will probably remember me. There was a young Femi who was a lawyer who was always involved. Now, the first thing I will say is this. Just like most people that always aspire to run affairs of franchises, unions, football teams, and what have you, most of them actually are into it because of what they are going to benefit. And because they have the privilege of running their affairs, they first feather their nest before the interest and overall interest of stakeholders and that franchise itself. That is basically what has killed the 3SC or Shooting Stars brand. I'm not going to be pointing fingers, but there is none, I will say, that they haven't overtly benefited more than what was set out to do for the goods that they could make. That is where the problem is. Let me give you a typical example. If government gives money to any new department or even an existing department for better performance, the first thing the people who are there, who have struggled, lock some other people off to be visible, the first thing they'll probably do is to buy cheap.
Hello. Well, this
and
discussion will still continue,
money that are provided by
but we have to go now.
Rather than to run the franchise to the point of enviable, performances. There is no time. I will have said much more about this, but that is where the problem actually lies.
Okay, we have to go. Akim Maxwell, it's good to have you feature on the podium this morning. We'll still do more of this because we can't exhaust Shooting Stars topic in one day.
Chike, thanks for having me. But we still have to give kudos to the man led by Rashid Balogun. Yes. He has done marvelously well to get Shooting Stars the desired result to take them back to the Nigerian Professional Football League.
Crystal, thank you for featuring on the podium this morning.
It's always my pleasure to discuss the growth and the future of Shooting Stars. Thank you for having me.
All right, the podium will come your way next week. Happy birthday to Sheung Ezekiah Akinrinde. And we have a new baby to name on Monday. Sheung Adekunle Las Perez has a new baby. The program is the podium, and I am Chike Ubogo. Remember to visit the 32 FM Father Christmas Grotto at the Jericho Mall. Until I come your way next week, Saturday, enjoy your weekend and bye for now.
Here is the station admired by other radio stations.
Yes, we are.
32 FM 94.9.